You ready to skedaddle?
Grab some road breakfast and skedaddle.
All right, skedaddle there.
Hey everyone, welcome to this Talk Word Explainer. You know, if you're learning English, you've probably figured out that the dictionary, well, it really only tells half the story, right? The real magic happens when we dive into the vibrant, kind of quirky words that native speakers actually use every single day. So today, we're going to explore the meaning, the honestly fascinating origin, and the real-world usage of one of my absolute favorite English words. It's a word that's practically guaranteed to bring a smile to your face and add a ton of personality to your vocabulary. Let's get into it.
But before we actually reveal the word, let's set the scene a little bit. Have you ever been somewhere? Maybe it's a party that just got way too loud, or you're having a great chat with a friend, but suddenly you glance at your watch and realize, oh no, I'm going to be late for a massive appointment. You realize you need to leave immediately. Like, you didn't just need to go, you literally needed to vanish into thin air. We've all had those moments, right? Well, English has the perfect, high-energy word to capture that exact feeling of making a really sudden, hasty exit.
Section 1. What does skedaddle mean? Let's dive right into this.
The word we're unpacking today is skedaddle. I mean, what a fantastic word, right? Just looking at it, you can almost feel the energy bouncing off the letters. And it sounds exactly like what it means. It's broken down into 3 distinct syllables: ske, dad, diddle. Actually, go ahead and say it out loud with me right now, wherever you are. Skedaddle. Skedaddle. It's got this wonderful, quirky rhythm to it. Kind of sounds like the rapid tapping of feet on a wooden floor, doesn't it? It is just so much fun to say, and that playful bounce is a huge part of why it's so beloved in everyday conversational English.
So looking at the formal definition, skedaddle means to depart quickly or hurriedly, to run away. The absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that sense of sudden speed and real urgency. You definitely don't slowly stroll away when you skedaddle. Think of, a classic cartoon character, like when their legs become an absolute blur of spinning motion right before they zoom off screen in a giant cloud of dust. That is the exact visual energy we're talking about here. It's an escape, a rapid, super energetic departure.
Section 2. The surprising history.
Now, because it sounds so bumpsy and playful, almost like a silly cartoon word, you might naturally assume it was just invented by a comic book writer or something in the last few decades. But honestly, it's actually deeply rooted in a very real and very intense historical past. Back in the mid-1800s, skedaddle first emerges as this piece of regional slang in the United States, and nobody is exactly sure of the linguistic root. Some scholars think it might have Scottish or Irish origins, but the idea really spread like wildfire and exploded onto the national stage between 1861 and 1865. That was right in the middle of the American Civil War. It was popularized by soldiers to describe troops who were quickly fleeing the battlefield or retreating in a total panic. Just imagine that. A word born right in the chaos of a battlefield. Yet if we fast forward to today, it has completely shed all of that heavy, fearful context. Now it's used purely playfully in casual, everyday conversation.
Section 3. How to use skedaddle. Now what's really interesting is how we actually use this today.
Okay, so we know the history, we know the definition, and we know how to pronounce it. But how do you actually slip this into a real conversation with a native English speaker without, sounding totally awkward? We want you to sound natural and confident. So imagine saying something like this. Oh, look at the time. I'd better skedaddle. Notice the conversational context there. It's warm, it's supernatural. You might say this while smiling, grabbing your coat, and standing up from a coffee date with a friend. You are clearly communicating that you have to leave quickly, but you're intentionally keeping the mood light and friendly. The word itself acts as a bit of a conversational cushion. It essentially tells the other person, hey, I'm rushing because I'm late, but I'm not stressed out and I've really, really enjoyed my time with you.
Section 4. Synonyms and comparisons. Let's talk about the level of formality.
This brings us to a really absolutely crucial concept in language learning, and that is register. Register is basically just the level of formality you use, depending on the room you're in and the exact people you are talking to. Knowing when to use a fun, bouncy word versus a serious, formal one, that is the ultimate key to true fluency. So on one hand, we have skedaddle. It's informal, it's playful, it's super friendly. But on the other hand, we have the word depart. It means the exact same thing, to leave, but it is formal, serious, and very official. And this brilliantly illustrates why you would absolutely skedaddle from a fun dinner party because you want to beat the traffic, but you would depart from a formal business meeting or, say, an airport gate. If you stood up in front of your company's CEO and said, all right, I'm going to skedaddle from this executive board meeting, you would definitely get some very strange looks. Context is literally everything here.
Just to really broaden your vocabulary a bit more, let's look at a few similar English phrases that share that exact same informal conversational vibe. We've got run away, take off, as in, hey, I've got to take off, hit the road, and bail. If you are just hanging out with your friends, honestly, any of these will work perfectly in place of skedaddle. They all signal a quick, highly informal exit. And using phrases like these is going to make your English sound so much more natural, relaxed, and genuinely natively fluent.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider this. How does playful slang actually shape the way we connect in a new language? Just think about it for a second. Obviously, learning grammar rules and memorizing all that formal vocabulary is totally essential. But learning these quirky, historical, deeply vibrant words like skedaddle, that is what makes speaking English more colorful, more human, and frankly, a whole lot more fun. It proves you're actually engaging with the culture and the real heartbeat of the language, rather than just perfectly reading from a textbook. If you want to keep expanding your vocabulary and truly mastering the nuances of this incredible language, you've got to keep learning. I highly encourage you to download the TalkWord Companion app today. Over on the app, you can listen to tons of engaging, podcast-style explanations of almost any English word you can possibly think of. It's an absolute game changer and the perfect way to build your fluency on the go. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep practicing those syllables, and until next time, I'd better skedaddle. But actually, before I do, I'll leave you with this one thought. What playful word are you going to unpack next to completely change the way you connect with the world?